Hey guys, I'm Moises, and on today's episode, we're going to review episode 6 of the Assassination of Gianni Versace, the episode titled Dissect. So let's get right to it. So the episode starts out in 1996 in the city of La Jolla, California. And that's how it's pronounced, La Jolla, not La Jolla, because I'm sure people in other states don't know how to pronounce that. We see Andrew park his car in front of this big mansion, and he walks in, and it's like a very lavish, beautiful place with a beautiful ocean view. He goes in and he's walking around like he owns the place. Immediately you get the impression that this is his home. He goes outside and there's a swimming pool there, and he just takes off his clothes and he immediately jumps in the pool. He then gets out of the pool and he's basically surveying his kingdom from this beautiful balcony there. After that, the credits roll and we immediately go back 1 year in time, before the assassination of everyone, before the assassination of Jeff Trail, David Madsen, Lee Miglin, William Reese, and Gianni Versace. We then cut to a scene where Andrew is with this older man, and this older man, his name is Norman, and we see that they have a relationship, a pre-existing relationship. We don't know immediately if they're lovers or if he's his boss, but it seems that he's both of them. So he's a lover and a boss, and they're discussing a party, Andrew's birthday party, and a friend comes along, this guy called Gallo, and immediately Gallo and Andrew have this little bitchy catty cat fight with each other, because Andrew says would have wanted to invite a lot more of his friends and probably have, two birthday parties, one with Andrew's friends and one with the older guy, Norman's friends there. And the catty friend is like, only the Queen of England gets 2 parties. And honey, I don't think you're that type of a queen. To which Andrew replies, Gallo, you're like a jukebox of bitchy hits. They then show us Andrew talking to that girl that's his friend, and Andrew's explaining that he's invited David Madsen, over to the party at Norman's house. And Andrew's telling his girlfriend there that, David is really special. David's a house. He's a home. Jeff Trails gets invited to this party too, and he shows up with a gift, but the gift he brings isn't good enough for Andrew, because it's all about showing off and being fancy and fake. And so he gives him a present that Andrew chose for himself, and he gives it to Jeff so that Jeff can give it to him at the party, just for show. And he's like, and I want you to tell them that you're an officer in the Navy. And he's like, but I'm not an officer. And he's like, yeah, I know, but just say you are. It sounds fancier. And he's like, yeah, I know, but I'm not gonna impersonate an officer. And then he's like, fine, it's your birthday, I'll do it. And right at the 12-minute mark is when David makes his appearance. And he arrives at the party, and David and Jeff meet. And you can tell from the minute they see each other that there's something there. They give each other, that gay look, like, oh yeah, I wanna get with that. And Andrew sees the chemistry between David and Jeff, and he is not amused, which provokes Andrew to do some powdered courage. Now Gallo, the old queen, catches David snorting the cocaine and immediately asks him, so what is it, cocaine or crystal? And Andrew replies, I don't do gutter drugs. And they then start having, a little conversation, and Gallo says, my birthday gift to you is some advice. You think Norman's the lucky one, but you're wrong. You're the lucky one. I've got you all figured out. You're too lazy to work, and you're too proud to be kept. So of course Andrew doesn't like that, and he storms back to the party saying, I'm going back to the party to be surrounded by people, that love me. To which Gallo replies, then those people don't know you. And it's also revealed that Lee Miglin is also at this party, and Lee is hella thirsty, and he goes up to Andrew and he's like, oh, when can we meet? I have a present that I want to give you in private. And Andrew tries to brush him off, and he's like, yeah, well, you can give me the gift later, we'll make an appointment and do it. And that satisfies Lee. And we also see a scene where Andrew wants to take a photo with all the people that love him. All these important men that love him. Well, in his mind, right? And he takes the photo because, the photo is proof of love. Now, after the party, for whatever reason, Andrew decides to put down an ultimatum to Norman, saying, if you want me to be with you, you have to give me this. You got to give me first-class flights, international and domestic, a Mercedes-Benz, and also make me the sole heir in your will. And he's like, that's the only way I'm going to stay with you. Of course, Norman agrees to some of it, but not all of it. And then Norman tells Andrew, you know, the jig is up. I know who you really are. You're not Andrew da Silva, you're Andrew Cunanan. You got, you know, I know who you are. And I'll pay for you to go to school and this and that, but that's not good enough. Andrew wants everything for nothing. And he then threatens to leave, and he leaves. Of course, he destroys a table on the way out, but he leaves. So they then show us Andrew moving into this dingy apartment, and it's kind of sad because, you know, it's so like dark and depressing. Then we cut to a scene where Jeff is on the phone with his father, and they're talking about how the dad just got a postcard that was addressed to the dad from Andrew Cunanan, and it was like signed Love Andrew, and he's like, what's that about? And Jeff doesn't really know what to say. So after that, he's obviously, you know, mad, and he goes over to Andrew's apartment and he confronts him, and he's like, did you send a postcard to my father? And Andrew just tries to like shrug it off, and he's like, yeah, maybe I did, I don't know. And that just infuriates Jeff so much that he gets physical, and he's like, you know, don't you ever do that again. He grabs Andrew, to which Andrew says, you're hurting me. Then Jeff says he's sorry, and then he tells Andrew that he's moving to Minneapolis to work at a propane gas company. Andrew's like, so of all the cities in the United States, you're moving to Minneapolis, the same city that David lives in, and that's just coincidence? And you guys, you know that's not really coincidence. You know he has the hots for him. Obviously, that's why he's doing it. Andrew then gets on the phone and calls David and basically drags him to LA. He's like, I'm FedExing you a plane ticket and you're gonna spend the weekend here with me. So David, you know, he basically has no choice, and he agrees. While in LA, Andrew tries to wow David, you know, by buying him expensive gifts and beautiful suits and telling him stuff like, you know, I want you to dress like the man you're gonna be, an American dream. And Andrew tells David, you know, you're gonna be all these things with me by your side. To which David is not cool with that. You can tell he's so uncomfortable with that thought. Have a lavish dinner that night, and during the dinner, David, you know, says to Andrew, you know, I don't think I'm the one. I think me coming here was a huge mistake. And of course that hurts Andrew, and he's like, you are the one. You're the person I want. David's like, no, you know, I thought you were. I don't know what the next steps are. And Andrew's like, yeah, the next step is just getting to know me. You just ask me whatever you want. They start this 20 question type of interview style of getting to know each other, and it's like a bullshit 20 questions, because every time that David asks Andrew a normal question, Andrew says something that sounds so ridiculous and crazy that you know it's a lie. Like of how his mother brought over lobsters to his school for lunch one day. I mean, the story's so crazy, it's no way that that's possible. That totally makes David turned off. You know, it totally turns him off. And he's like, you know, this is it. I'm like done with here. Done. We then cut to a gay bar, and they show Andrew meeting with a drug dealer. And basically Andrew wants something harder, a harder drug than he's doing. And so the drug dealer tells him about crystal, but he says you should inject the crystal. And so of course Andrew does it, and it gives him like the ultimate high. They then show us some crazy dream sequence where Andrew and Versace are having a conversation, and Andrew's like, you know, me and you, we're not so different. The only difference is that you got lucky. And Versace replies that no, there is a difference. The difference is that Versace is loved. And in the final scene, we see Andrew spiraling out of control, doing more drugs, doing so much drugs that he basically stinks of crystal meth. He goes over to his mom's house. The mom, you know, embraces him after, I guess, spending one night at his mom. He leaves. And you can tell that Andrew got some of his craziness from the mother, because the mother was very interested in impressing friends and family members. He inherited some of that from her. Remember guys, always blame your parents for your life. My final review is that this was a very good episode, and also what was different about this episode was that this was the least violent episode. I mean, now that I think about it, nobody died in this episode. It was just, I mean, the worst thing was when Jeff grabbed Andrew and, you know, shook him, and he was like, you're hurting me. That was like the most violent thing in the episode. Thanks for watching guys. Tune in next week for episode 7 of the Assassination of Gianni Versace. I am Moises, and I'm out.